Hey everybody, welcome back to the Gamers Lounge podcast. My name is John Meadows. With me as always is Dennis, Nathaniel, and Eric. How's it going, guys?
It's
Going
going.
good.
Good.
Welcome,
Good.
listeners and viewers.
And everyone,
Welcome,
whoever. But yeah, sorry, I'm going to try not to cough directly into the mic or anything while I try to talk, since apparently I've got the head cold like everybody else around here. So good times, and it's only going to be
coming around.
yeah, and it's only going to be 100 degrees this week. So there's nothing better than having a cold when it's 100 degrees. Um, nothing better. So. All right. Well, we were going to try to do a earlier show in the week, but we just never got time. So today will be a long. I mean, it won't be a long one, but it won't be a short one either. It's kind of hard to say. It depends on how much stuff Eric has to talk about from PAX. But
Gonna be in the middle.
but before we start with all that, we're going to talk about what we always talk about with what we've been playing. And since we've all kind of got the same thing, well, a lot of
Got a
us
little
have the
bit of
same thing.
overlap.
Yeah. I picked up Control. I know Nathaniel said you picked it up on PC. I actually picked it up on PS4. I didn't have intentions to pick it up, but it was on sale at Target last week for like $50, and then there was if you did the in-store pickup, it was 25% off. So I think I got it.
I got
for
it
like
too. I haven't opened it yet though.
$38 after tax and my red card.
That's a steal. That's
Yeah.
a steal for that game. It really is.
Well, and I didn't figure it'd be any cheaper at Black Friday, so it's like, well, I'll go ahead and do it now and be done with it. So I've played maybe about 2 hours of it. I played it right before I left. It's definitely weird, story-wise. I mean,
It's very weird. Yeah.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
We'll
But,
get into it.
Yeah, but I definitely, I don't know. I'm sure you're playing with a headset on, Nathaniel.
I play some of both.
Yeah,
Just my good PC speakers and then some with my headset on.
I really like playing that game with a headset with all the weird ambience you have with that game. You hear a lot of weird
It's
stuff.
also good with like my speakers that has a decent bass on it because it rumbles and all sorts of stuff too. So it's good either way.
Look at that.
The sound design in Control is really, really fantastic.
Control has a whole bunch of great parts that do not add up as much as I wanted them to. It's like it starts really well and it has some really cool stuff. It has great atmosphere, just technically, just graphic wise, and some of the stuff they're doing in the engine is really cool. Like the lore that they sprinkle out and all the stuff that you can pick up to read is really cool. The story itself blows.
Yeah.
It did not go weird. Like the side quest people should have been in charge of the main quest because you don't get any of the cool boss fights unless you go off onto the side quests. Like the main quest, if you just go through that, it has some quote unquote boss fights, but they're not any of the interesting ones. Like the interesting boss fights are all off on like some of the side quests. So if you don't do the side quests, you'll miss some of the coolest stuff.
Right.
Which made me kind of sad if like people just like kind of mainline it, they're gonna miss the best parts of the game.
Yeah, I could see that. It's like I said, I've just got my powers, so I'm
One
not
thing
very deep
I wish
into
it did more of is like you start in the very opening minutes and you're coming in and it does some stuff where it plays with space, where you go down a hallway and you loop around it and you end up in a place that you saw kind of like behind through some windows, but then you've looped around and it's changed the layout.
Yeah.
That's literally the only time they really do that in the game. At least that seamlessly. Like there's all sorts of stuff where you hit checkpoints and then it like does a cool little cutscene where stuff folds back. And they do a few other little times where it kind of warps the environment a little bit, but not in that same way where you're just like walking through. It feels more like a dreamscape.
Yeah.
Where you're like going through and then it like connects somewhere, and then where you went backwards, it's like, oh wait, there's one spot after that that's really, really cool that they kind of do that. And I was like, I wish they'd played a little bit more with it just being a little bit weird, but that had to be way more difficult to design, I would assume. But yeah. The game is really, really fun. Like I finished it, I beat the whole thing. I pretty much did every single side quest I could do. I think I have like one left one mini boss fight that I just could not beat after attempting it a few dozen times.
How long did it
like,
take
all
you?
right, I'm done. I don't know.
Looks like it's
I can't
15
time
hours
it
on,
because
like,
on the
how long
Epic
to beat.
Game Store it doesn't keep track of your time. So
Oh,
I
okay.
don't
I didn't
know
realize it was
exactly
only
how
on the
long.
Epic Game Store. I didn't realize that.
It'll come to Steam in a year, probably. Who knows?
Ah.
But so they haven't added that to the Epic Game Store yet
Gotcha.
for where you track your time like you can on Steam. And I don't think the game save did, or if it did, I forgot by the time we got to here because I'd finished it.
That stinks. That's why I was wondering if it was like a 20 hour
I finished it pretty quickly
game.
because I kind of like mainlined that game.
Yeah.
It looks like a 15 to 20 hour game on how long to beat, but
Yeah, like any individual thing about Control is really, really good. It's like less than the sum of its parts almost.
Yeah.
Where it's got some really, really cool like lore. The playing it moment to moment is awesome. Like all the powers that you get are really fun. It's the best controlling game Remedy has ever made. It's just the most like mechanically solid one. But it just doesn't have that same weird magic it factor that Alan Wake has. It's still still my favorite Remedy game.
Except that it's got those weird TV shows with the puppets in it on the
that's a Remedy staple.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I came around the corner and I was like, there was an old
Weird
tube TV on the
stuff.
desk, I was like, oh, here we go with the weird TV stuff.
I really hope that like the DLC that they've said that they're going to be putting out takes advantage of some of that stuff more.
Is
I don't know
DLC
if
going to be free or is there going to be a season pass?
I don't know.
No, they haven't said that I'm aware of.
But they've made a really, really cool kind of universe or world that you could do all sorts of stuff that you play around with in. But they just didn't play around with it quite enough for me to like make it my favorite Remedy game. It's still a lot of fun. It's really good. Worth playing if you like Remedy games for sure.
But, and it's very good looking too.
Oh yeah. Well, I was looking at the kind of Digital Foundry breakdown of like the PC version, and when you turn on all the different effects and they do like a different thing of explaining what it all means, of like, okay, here's the equivalent of a game from like, a few years ago, and then here if you turn all this stuff on, that's what it looks like kind of sort of currently, and then here when you turn all the ray tracing reflection stuff on, here's what it's doing, and they're showing it like progressive and like side by side and all sorts of stuff. And I was like, man, I wish I had a better rig so I could turn all the ray tracing on because it looks really super pretty. It still looks great as it is. It's just the person in me that wants to turn on all of the graphics options says, I want to do that. I can't.
I understand. Yeah, I get that. But yeah, it is. It's like I said, what little bit of it I've played, it's a pretty cool game.
But yeah, like they just can't quite figure out how to tell an interesting story in an interesting way with like all of the like cool video overlays and stuff they throw in. That stuff is kind of cool, but the character models and stuff themselves, when they're interacting, it's almost always in some weird like locked off or just talking back and forth thing, and we have like 3 camera angles or something, 3 or 4 camera angles, and it's the same ones. It's not as dynamic as something that you would see
It sounds
in
like they have all
many
the
other
pieces
modern
there.
games.
They don't quite have everything. Like they got all the pieces, they're almost there, but they just need a little bit more.
Yeah, it was just like the main story was told in kind of a little bit of an uninteresting way, but like the environments, like the environmental storytelling is really, really cool. Where you come into a room and see all this stuff lying around, and it's like try and figure out like, oh, this is kind of what happened maybe, or what have you. That's cool. It's just the actual like what you're doing and why you're doing it wasn't that great. The best character in the game is the janitor, and he's not in it all that much.
Yeah.
If they'd been able to kind of capture that weird, mysterious vibe that the, kind of creepy janitor guy has with everyone, then it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, that was the funny part. It's like we saw him right at the beginning, and I'm like, "Oh, you're going to see him more." And it's like I haven't seen him again since. I'm like, "But he's the janitor."
I mean, you see him a little bit after that first part, not too long, and then it's like almost to the end of the game before you really see him again, unless you kind of go out of your way to just go to his office for no reason.
Yeah.
But
There's a lot of stuff to find and explore in that game. So
that's cool. There's a lot of little Easter eggs and like secrets and stuff.
Oh yeah, there's some cool like Easter egg stuff related to like other Remedy games, and sort of ties it in, which was really neat when I found those little bits. There's a lot of really cool little nuggets in there, and all the powers that you get are a lot of fun in tandem, so you can use them and then like use this one, and it works really well to like throw this thing at somebody and then change to this power and do that. Float in the air, tossing, the destruction in that game is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like there's so many like particles and just desks and papers and anything flying around any given room. Everything feels a little bit loose though. Like if you bump into something, it's like it falls over. But who cares if you can pick it up with your mind and throw it? That's the cool part.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I'm
I
so
like to
excited
pull,
play it.
like, yank stuff out of the walls, like, yank concrete out and
Yeah.
throw it.
It's so satisfying.
Well,
Yeah, it really
like,
is. It's,
If there's nothing that you're actually visually grabbing that they
playing
put
that this
in the forethought to just like pull something kind of from off screen where you just get a generic chunk of concrete, but it's actually coming from somewhere, that's really, really cool and impressive. Fun thing that I like doing is all the different like film projectors that you can find. A lot of times you can pick them up and like you're holding them in front of you and you can walk around and like point it wherever you want and it's like live updating. Is pretty cool.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just like the tech for the lighting engine and all of that stuff in this game is really, really nice. Does some cool stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm playing just on a basic PlayStation 4. I'm not playing it on a Pro or anything like that, and I think it looks, it looks really, really good. So I can only imagine what it looks like on a Pro or a Xbox One X or a high-end PC. So
It looks very nice on PC, even without all the fancy reflection ray tracing stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it does. I was going to say it's not on. I keep thinking Game Pass. My brain goes to Game Pass. I'm like, let me pull it up on the PC. You don't have it on that because it's not Game Pass.
Yeah, no, it's not. No Game Pass for this one.
No. But I wanted to start playing. I wanted to start playing Gears this weekend, but. Well, one, I got sick and stuff like that, but the other thing is I forgot. I was like, oh man, I've already started playing Control. I need to finish it before I go on to another game, because I'm playing Control, I'm playing Astral Chain, I'm trying to do two at one time, and it's just...
Control you can finish quicker than Astral Chain.
Yeah.
Control is probably close to 20 or something.
Yeah,
Unless
but
you're like really, really digging in, you could spend some more time.
Yeah. Well, I could probably get through Gears pretty quick, too. I mean, I figure most of those are only 10 hours at the most, so it's like I really could go play Gears and knock it out and then come back and play Control, but I don't know if I want to or not. That's the thing. Plus, I kind of like to play Gears co-op if I get the chance, so it's like, well, I'd rather play with somebody than I would play by myself, so if I can, so. But that's the other game that I've been playing a little bit of is Astral Chain, which is pretty. I haven't played it on the TV, so I don't know how pretty it looks on TV. But
That's
it looks.
all I've played it on is the TV.
It looks fantastic in handheld mode. I'm shocked how good it looks in handheld mode. Like I say, I haven't brought it downstairs to play it on the TV yet, but.
It's a lot easier to see stuff on the TV, even though it looks really good. It's just such a busy visual game that picking out individual things is a lot better on a bigger screen.
Yeah, I'm sure. But like I say, I've only played maybe the introduction of that, if that. I think I've got just the prologue. Yeah, I've played nothing of it. So
you haven't even gone through all the tutorial stuff if that's all you've played.
I don't know if I have or not. I know I've got to the point where I got my Astral and whatever they call it.
Have you been to the police station?
I think that's where I'm heading now, is to the police station.
Then you haven't done all the tutorials.
Yeah, see, I don't even know.
You're still in like the cold open of like, hey, here's all this stuff we'll throw at you, and then we'll like the next level we'll teach you how to use it.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was gonna say. I don't remember what day it came in on, but it came in on I think a Friday or something like that, and it was like, well, only got a couple days, and then I started doing this, and then I started doing that, and just didn't get a chance to play it yet. So, as much as I would like to play it more, but it's what I plan to do in the next.
See, I think I've put about 25 hours in it so far, ish. Because it will actually tell you in the save game in the game how much you played it.
And like I said, I think I'm only an hour in or something like that. Not very much. So what do you think of it so far?
It's like playing an anime. It's ridiculous. Like, there's so much goofy stuff in that game. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really cool. Yeah, what little bit of it I've played, I really like it a lot. It's very
It's
fun.
got an interesting mechanic to it that's different than other kind of action games, which I think was fun for Platinum. Just trying to play around again, find something different, and I think they managed to do something that's both interesting and different. It's not like the same old game that they've done, which is cool. Like playing with all the different like Legion robots, whatever the heck you want to call them, and throwing them out, and then like all the different moves that come out of that is really really fun. Once you start getting the hang of it, you're like, oh, okay, I get this.
Yeah.
But then they also have a lot of like stuff in that game is a lot less like Bayonetta or Near Automata. Any of the stuff they've done before is a lot more action centric, whereas this it's segmented.
Yeah.
So you have kind of like your action sections, and then you have kind of investigation / police work sections for I don't know where you're running around and doing different things, and then sometimes that'll branch off and like throw you off into a little quick action, segment where you got sucked through a portal or something, defeat some enemies, and come back out. But there's a lot like more of that stuff in the game than I was expecting, which I think is actually was really really surprising and fun about it. That it's not just like straight through action play level like their most of their previous games are. Like even like Nier Automata is a more open world ish game, but even then there's a lot more action focus in that one, I think, than like throughout. Versus this one is very segmented.
Yeah.
You're doing like this thing for a while, and then you're going off, and it's almost like you start each. It's a lot like Alan Wake actually, where you start each new chapter where you're doing some stuff, and there's not really much enemies at that point, and then at some point it turns on the action button, and you're like going through and doing more actiony stuff, fighting things as you go on, like through each chapter, and like each chapter almost feels kind of like an episode of an anime.
Yeah. That was kind of what the opening kind of felt like that,
Oh yeah, they even have the opening kind of theme song title sequence that an anime would have.
Yeah, it felt very, very much like an anime. That was the first thing I thought.
Very much anime in the way the story goes, at least so far.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I've only played it this much, but what little bit of it I've played, I've really enjoyed it a lot.
But yeah, you haven't even gotten the cool detective vision gadget.
No,
that you get and tutorials of how you actually fight, like telling you how to do the different like combos, what you can actually do with the chain, so you can like wrap up enemies and it like locks them down for a bit, and that can lead into combos. You have like each of your legion have their own kind of tech tree that you go out, so you unlock skills and things from that.
Yeah.
You have like a little, I forget what they call it, like sync attacks or something, where the like time slows down for half a second and a little like lens flare goes off, and if you hit the button at the right time it will trigger an attack, and there's different things that you unlock as you go that will like give you opportunities for that more than you start out with. So it's really good at sort of building on it as it goes, so you get more and more cool combos and options and moves to do as you go, so it doesn't just feel the same the whole time.
Yeah.
And like each legion has its own kind of ability, so you start with like the sword one, and then you get one that has like a bow and arrow, and one like a wolf looking thing or panther or something like that. You get one that's like big beefy arms that punches a lot. I think the last one has like an axe or something. I don't have that one yet. I have 4 of the 5.
Yeah. Cool. I like it. It is pretty cool. I just wished I've had more time to play it.
It's super stylish. It's a lot of fun, and there's a ton of weird little like goofy Easter eggy type things, or just goofy weird anime stuff that they throw in there.
Yeah.
Like the police station has its own mascot that isn't just a one-off thing. You keep seeing it throughout as you keep going. There's all sorts of fun collectibles like that you can get that are like for customization. So your character, you can customize like what equipment you have on. You start out with a little bit, and you can keep finding more stuff. Like, hey, you found sunglasses, or you found like a face mask. Found all sorts of different color sets, so you can now have more color options for both you and your legion things that are going on. So you can like really get into the nitty-gritty of making it. I want to be all pink, or I want to be purple and green, or whatever. You can go as deep into that as you want. You have some stuff like you can wear different pieces of equipment or not. So they really, really want to let you make it like your own character.
Yeah, that's
The
cool.
weird thing though is like you can choose either the male or female character when you start, and the other one will be a character still sticks around in the story. They're
Right.
fully voice acted, no matter which one you do. So I don't know why they decided to make the player character not be voiced. It's really weird.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So especially the few times where someone directly talks to you and they don't have another character next to you, because a lot of times they'll do the video game thing where you have a character next to you that's kind of speaking for you almost. But if you're by yourself, there's a few times where you're just like, my murmur, and then they just understand you. And you're like, why didn't you just voice act this stuff, guys? You have voice actors for both. It's not like, I don't know. I don't know.
I agree 100%. That's probably my biggest critique as well. Is that I've never been a big fan in any game of the silent protagonist, so it just bothers me when there's voice acting and they still don't use it.
Yeah,
It's like,
I like silent protagonists sometimes when it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense for this game. When they have voice actors for both, it's like, okay, you could have easily just designed it that way instead of
That's the one thing
kind
that
of like
always.
say Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where you can pick either one at the start, and then the other one is still in the story, and you're both voice acted. You could have done it with this game.
Well, that's like the Division when you go and there's a cutscene and your character is in the cutscene and she's whoever's standing there talking to them and they're standing there just going, your character's just going, and then they're having a one-sided conversation, but they never you never make a sound. It's like you could go do this and this and this and that, and then you just go tip your head and go off. It's like, that's so weird.
Like, I don't know why more games don't do stuff like Mass Effect or some of the other games where they have like a voice actor for each, or you have just like different voices you could choose from. Like, I don't know.
I mean, even in a game like The Division, it's like, okay, well, we've got all these different styles of characters. We'll just have a male and a female. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's not like you have to have, like...
Hell, throw in pitching of the voice if you really want to.
Well, yeah, something. It's like, because when you don't, it's very weird when you have this huge cutscene with somebody, and then they're talking about this and that, and, do you understand what I'm saying? And your guy's just standing there going, just shaking his head. It's like, no, this is a post-apocalyptic world. Come on now.
I mean, it does add more dialogue for you to record. Like, consider you could just make it minimal, and that's fine.
Yeah.
They just don't talk a lot, but they can.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But
I mean, it's not too terrible for this game, because it's not like dialogue is that much a huge part of it. It's more like some of the stuff where you're like talking to people, it's all just like text bubbles, but then like cutscenes is where you would run into it. And a lot of it, they're kind of not talking directly to you anyway, so it's just a weird quibble, but the game is still a lot of fun.
Yeah. Like I said, so far, what little bit of it I've played, it's been really, really fun.
You can pick up soda cans and recycle them.
That's good to know.
I
love that.
You can also, like, they have combat thing where you can distract enemies or something, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah.
You can rescue cats.
It's always an important job.
What else can you do? Oh yeah, you can get toilet paper and give it to the toilet fairy at this police station.
Okay.
Correct.
No also, seashells, huh?
Like collectibles in this game.
They don't use seashells like they do in Demolition Man, huh? Well, that's disappointing.
Well, it's like each level has a different one you can find, and it's a different thing in each level.
Oh, okay.
It's like one was like some leaves or something. I don't know. I haven't found all of them.
Yeah, that's not weird at all.
It definitely has very goofy, just weird anime flair in like the corners of it, more than just a straight up anime look. It's cool sci-fi style anime. But the like kind of main direction of it is they throw all the other little weird stuff in there too.
Yeah, and that's always cool. So it's platinum. I knew it was going to be good and be a little strange at the same time, and that's okay. That's what I expect. Really well
as on the Switch too, like for something that busy with all sorts of things going around all the time, like tons of things happening at once, you figure it would slow down if they didn't know what they're doing, but it runs really, really well, even in some of the crazier scenes.
And that's what I say, in handheld mode, it blows my mind, because a lot of the games, you take them into handheld mode, especially ones that have a lot of busy stuff going on, and then things get downgraded. Like your character may not, but like backgrounds and stuff like that. And this doesn't seem like any of that happens. Of course, I may plug it in the TV and go, "Whoa, wait a minute!" But I mean, I doubt it. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be like blown away. You know, I don't think it's going to be that much of a visual difference. But
yeah, well, it's not you're gonna run into stuff like draw distance or anything
Right.
for most of the game either, because a lot of it is like they do have some more open areas, but it's like you're in a city where there's buildings in the way, you're not seeing very long distances
Right.
for the most part.
Well, that was
So just the way they designed it, and helped them out with that. I
yeah.
think.
Well, that was the thing that just when I first put it in, and I'm watching that cut. I'm playing the beginning where I'm riding a motorcycle, cutting through this and that. I'm going, I can't believe how sharp this looks on the screen. I'm just blown away by it.
That beginning was so awesome. It kind of reminded me of because it's very different from the rest of the game, but it kind of gives you still kind of a vibe of the atmosphere of just how cool it is, and it reminded me a lot of near Automata, where it was just, I think the beginning starts off as like a bullet hell, but the game itself is not a bullet hell, but it was just such an opening.
Actually, with Nier Automata, it is a lot of times and they just do it in different ways, where sometimes you're in like the third person, sometimes they change the camera. That game does a lot more playing around with stuff. Having played the hell out of that game, there's a lot of bullet hell stuff in there.
Right.
But like this game, I wish they did a little bit more of that, because I was like, I haven't ridden my motorcycle since the opening, and that was kind of fun.
Yeah. I was hoping there would be more of that, but okay, that's all right.
I mean, I'm not that disappointed because the rest of the game is still really, really fun. But I was like, I wish there was a motorcycle level again.
Yeah, that'd be all right. I was
maybe at the end of the game, at the beginning and the end. Who knows?
kind of disappointed to hear that there's not. So
I mean, I'm only 25 hours in, so
yeah,
it could be somewhere.
anything could happen, right?
I think I'm on like chapter 7 or 8. I forget which one I'm on. I think 8.
I have no idea how many chapters are in the game. I haven't even looked. So.
I'm gonna guess 11 based on like all the different I
think I'm on file 6.
Because you have a bunch of different things that you unlock by like say kill so many enemies or complete this chapter or do so much damage with this weapon. All that stuff unlocks things, so they have a huge list you can look through. So the part that has stuff about chapters, I think it was like 11 or 12, something like that. Yeah. Even those question marks, you can see where it goes to the next section. So you're like, all right, no, that's about 12.
Yeah. See, it's like me with Space Harrier. I bought it on the Sega Ages on the Switch the other day, and I have never beaten that game in 30 years. I've never beaten it. I didn't even know how many levels there were in it, and there's a mode on it where you can have a shield and you can pretty much run through everything. The only thing it doesn't block is bullets. So the only thing you have to worry about dodging is bullets, and anything else. So, and everything is sped up like 3 times. Well, there's 18 levels in that game. I finally found that out because I got to the end of it now. But it was like, what? I don't know how anybody could have got through 18 levels of that game without a shield, to be quite honest with you. I mean, after playing it like that, I'm like, yeah, I never could have gotten this far, ever. I mean, whatever. It's like, but, in all these years, all my life, I never knew how many levels there were. I figured there was 10. I was like, it's an arcade game. Surely there's like 10. I've gotten to 7. That's pretty good. Yeah, 7 was the highest I'd ever gotten. I was like, yeah, I didn't even get halfway through. Almost. But, it's like, all right then. So nothing makes you feel better than finding out that you really weren't that great at a game when you thought you were. But so what else you got? Assassin's Creed. Are you still playing the Assassin's Creed DLC? I actually bought that. It was on sale. Literally the day after the podcast, it went on sale on PlayStation, so I went ahead and bought it. They had a thing where you got
on sale a lot of places recently.
Well, you could get the one. You had a limited time. You could download the one piece of DLC for free. So I downloaded it for free, and then I was like, oh, well, the rest of the DLC is only like $10 or $12 or something like that. So it's like, okay.
I don't know how, I'm assuming that they gate it, but you should not play any of the DLC until you finish the main game.
Oh, yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, that's the way it was designed.
Yeah.
You could probably play either one as like a set afterwards, but you want to finish the main game before you would tackle either one of them.
Well, that would make sense. But it's like, well, while it's on sale, I'll go ahead and buy it. So.
But yeah, I finished it up. So I finished the last piece of DLC, and I've put like 150 hours into that game now. I think.
Wow.
But that's like pretty much 100%ing it.
Right.
Like I'm back in. The main part of the game is like, hey, I have like one random little side quest that I didn't do, so let me go do that. And then I have one more that they just added because they keep adding these little like one-off quests every once in a while.
And you're so high level, you just go in and go, peek. And this is like, well, that's
not really.
like...
Well, you could turn it off. They added to it, but you have like level scaling in that game. So.
Oh, okay.
Like, oh, look, I'm a level 72 against level 5 guys. Just don't do that.
Kicking chicken.
You go into older areas, whenever they're loading in enemies in, it'll be like, okay, now they're about your level or a couple below, or depending on how they do it.
Yeah.
Per
That
area.
makes sense.
But man, the last chapter of the Fate of Atlantis, whatever DLC, the second pack, is really, really cool map. All three of them are really, because it's a different map per. Like the first DLC pack is all on the main Greece map, but then the second DLC set is like each episode 1, 2, 3 that they put out are each on a different kind of contained map,
Right.
and they're all kind of really cool, different designs and different looks to them. But it's like this function. It functions as sort of not epilogue necessarily, but an extra like adventure after the end of the main story that kind of ties up some of the threads that were still there. I'm trying to be very vague about it. And then it still leaves plenty open for the future of Assassin's Creed and what they want to do for the next one. I am very interested to see what setting they choose for the next one.
Yeah, I am too.
Like this is hands down my Assassin's Creed game, and I like a lot of them a whole lot. Yeah. It's definitely, of the two kind of new style ones, it's definitely way better than Origins was, and it was still pretty fun.
Yeah,
but this one is just way more polished, and it's like it felt like a lot of the ideas they have for Origins now fully baked for this one.
Right. Yeah, I'm guessing this E3 or next year's E3 will have the new Assassin's Creed whatever, and it'll probably be just like Black Flag was. It'll be on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. It'll straddle that cross-gen thing. But it will be interesting to see where they go with it as far as timeline goes. I
really like that these last two games have gone back to, oh, hey, the stuff that's outside, like modern day and stuff outside of your main setting, we still have a lot of that in here that is important again. It's not like with Black Flag where it's like, oh, hey, you're an evil Ubisoft. You don't care about this, so we're just going to be a pirate for 99% of the game.
Yeah.
I like the original ones where it has all of the cool like modern day stuff. Wasn't like a huge part of the game, but it was still an important part that they paid attention to. It wasn't just throw it in there because we gotta have it. We gotta check that box, right? So they're kind of back to that again, where it's like, okay, we put some thought into this and did something kind of cool with it.
Yeah, I would like to see them make one. I don't know if you've ever read any of the comic books, but they did one in Russia. It was before World War II Russia, I want to say, or World War I era Russia or something like that. And I always thought that would make a really, really cool game. I think they did one of the little spin-off games was that too. I'd have to look back. There was 3 of them. There was
Chronicles had China. I think Russia was one of them.
Yeah.
And
India.
What was the other one? Somewhere in the Middle East.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I mean, maybe they'll go eventually to the one that people seem to keep thinking they should do and do Japan of some sort.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be a cool era to do. Like picking a neat era for like Russia, like some of the big cities there, like would look cool as well.
I could get me down with some samurai.
I mean, at this point, there's very few kind of big, huge settings that they haven't touched on in some way that would be like, okay, you could do a full game on this, right?
Yeah.
They've done a lot of the obvious ones to this point, so I don't envy all the Assassin's Creed people. Like, what are we gonna do next time?
Yeah. So how do we go from this? Yeah, I wouldn't either. So Dennis, what have you been playing?
Well, outside of Astral Chain, because I feel like that's what we're all doing. I have. I've been kind of all over the place, really. I mean, Gears 5 came out recently. I've been playing the hell out of that, and that's been really a surprising. I guess not really surprising. I guess it's surprising for me because I didn't really care too much for Gears before. Like, I really enjoyed the first one, and then every like subsequent Gears after that was just like I don't know. It just wasn't clicking with me after a while. and then Gears 4 was fine, but there was a lot of like missed. I don't know. I felt missed opportunities there, but this one is just. I think I can safely say that Xbox finally, not in terms of a series, but at least like for this game, anyways, in particular, Xbox finally has their God of War. I think I feel confident in saying that.
Big words.
Yeah, mainly
Gears
because
of War, come on.
yeah.
It
Other than
still
the fact that they
cracks me
both
up
have
that those-
GOW.
Yeah, that still cracks me up.
I know.
Whoever said
Thankfully, they
any of
got rid
that.
of the of war part because, I mean, that always confused me. It's kind of similar for me of when people talk about when people say MK and they meant they're talking about Mortal Kombat. And the first thing that comes to my mind is never Mortal Kombat. It's Mario Kart.
Yeah.
So I'm always confused of when people are just like, oh yeah, this character is coming to MK, and I'm just like, wait, what? That doesn't make any
What?
sense.
Can we have a Mario Combat game now?
Yeah, no,
Right.
I can definitely see the God of War, Gears of War thing, but Mario Kart, Mortal Kombat. I can see how the M and the K.
I want to see
for me.
Mario in
I
a
was
Mortal
thinking-
Kombat style game, just so we can have like Nintendo themed fatalities and how we be.
Maybe it'll be DLC for Smash. The mature expansion.
Oh
I would actually think of it.
god, that'd be insane.
But yeah, no, it's in terms of just like, and the reason why I say that is because I mean everything about it is just solid and feels like a full package. Like the gameplay is great, the storytelling is fantastic, the pacing's really awesome, the seamlessness between, it's not as seamless, but the seamlessness of going between cutscenes and gameplay, almost where it's just not noticeable. It's just, and it really is just a tech powerhouse too, especially because I'm playing on a 1X and seeing it in 4K HDR with this thing is, I mean, it's surreal. It really is. And this is their defining game of just like, if we're gonna top off the generation, this is it. This will define the Xbox One as a whole. And
good ways
I almost feel like it's so good to the point where I almost feel bad that I'm playing it through Game Pass, versus not having bought it. But it's man, it really is next level, and I was so excited I went and bought the cookies as well, mainly because I just really love cookies. But it gave me a reason to buy the cookies.
Yeah, those are like the Chips Ahoy, right?
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah. And they did a similar thing for
More
Sea of
themed.
Thieves when that came out.
Dude, the funny thing
but-
about Gears is that it's putting out, they're putting out on Steam as well, which is kind of fun.
Uh-huh.
Not
Very
just the
true.
Windows Store. The only thing I need to look up is if you get the Steam version, does that still work for you have it in both places? I would doubt it. That you
I don't
can play it
think-
on Xbox. I think you
Yeah,
have
I
to get
don't-
the Windows Store version for that to still work.
Correct. Yeah, I don't think you would be able to access like you wouldn't have the Steam version by default if you have Game Pass or anything like that. However, cross save should still be there because you do have to connect your Xbox Live account. So,
Yeah.
if you have both an
Yeah.
Xbox and Steam,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No,
was
that's
just curious
what
how
the-
that worked because I was like, wait, they're putting it on Steam, but what does that mean for all of that? Oh, questions.
Yeah.
I was watching a video about it, just like kind of the graphics and like a review of it. I was like, oh, hey, I haven't played Gears 4, but this one actually looks like fun. I
you can
remember
jump
liking
into it
Gears 3.
fine. Yeah, the great thing I noticed. The great thing I noticed when I booted it up is I went straight to the extras, and they had a similar thing that I remember they did this for Devil May Cry 5 as well.
Like a video sort of catch up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it catches you up on everything. So there's two videos in particular. There's one of just like what happened in Gears of War 4, and then there's another one that kind of takes you throughout the history of Gears, and which includes 4. But it's more so it's weird. It's like a catch me up, but it's also like a documentary at the same time. But it's still like it's a nice like 7-8 minute video that kind of gets you through the whole thing. It was very concise and very thorough. It was very good.
That's cool. Just a
yeah.
summary for people that like haven't played a couple of the games.
Yeah.
Might never. Maybe this is their first one, right?
It was very yeah.
It's kind of like what they did with Yakuza. They do that with the Yakuza games. You can always go back and watch the entire thing from 0 to
Right.
the whatever the latest one would be, 6, whatever. And you
6
can
at the
always-
moment, yeah.
Yeah, you can always catch up easy that way. So
Yeah, but Gears 5 has absolutely been blowing me away. It's a much bigger game than I thought. Because like, I mean, if you're just running through the like main story stuff, I mean, then yeah, you'll probably be done within like 10 hours. But if you're doing all the side quests and stuff like that as well, and you really want to upgrade, so you get this little robot companion with you, and you know, where you're going to be doing a lot of the really cool like special effects and you know things like that. Like if you want to cloak, and if you want to you know, basically take over somebody so you can have an extra ally for a second, you know, you're going to be doing it through your robot companion. And a lot of the side quests give you all the amazing stuff. You know, it's so they do reward you for doing the side stuff and really squeezing as much of that game out of as possible. It doesn't feel like it's just there. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's there to just kind of artificially prolong the game. It definitely is incorporated. You know, it's there's more story content there that really, if you think there's a plot hole, I promise you, go do a side quest and it'll fill that up for you. So it makes it all count, and it's really nice.
I kind of want to play it in co-op just so I can be the robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way I like to play my Gear. If Gears has a co-op single player campaign, that's the way I like to play it. We always have.
It's couch co-op and online, right?
I don't know about
Yes.
couch co-op.
I don't know about couch. Yeah, I want to say yes.
It is. There's split screen even on the PC version, which is weird.
Ooh, that's
But it's
weird.
there. I think it's up to 3 or something. I forget.
That's interesting.
I saw it in a review of when I was watching a video of it. They
That's
showed
kind of
the
a
split
unique
screen.
thing. Split screen PC doesn't happen very often.
That literally never happens.
Yeah.
Even in like console ports, like they
Yeah.
don't keep it in there.
Well, and you think they would now with so
But they
many
don't even do
people-
split screen in consoles that much anymore now.
Well,
too,
that's true
so.
too. But you know, you'd think they would do that more in PC now that people actually connect their. A lot of people connect their PC to a television or use a Steam Link or whatever, you know. But
Right.
Not a thing that PC gamers really care that much about.
see, I when I play PC, it's hooked up to my TV.
Yeah, no.
I don't set it at a computer desk and play it.
I always appreciate accessibility though, so I do think that those options should be there if they
Yeah.
can do it. You know?
But I don't think split screen really counts as accessibility so much.
Yeah, I mean it's. I mean, how many PC players, you know, exclusive PC players play couch co-op games?
But even
True,
with
yeah.
like split screen stuff, that's difficult to do with it still looking nice and still
Yeah.
running well, especially like in modern games. So you know why it's kind of gone away.
Yeah, it is
over time.
taxing on a system.
But yeah, no, Gears 5 has been absolutely fantastic. But aside from that, because honestly, I mean, I could probably talk all day about Gears 5. It's so good. But aside from that, there's been a lot of games that have come out recently, and it's almost overwhelmingly so. But one that I beat recently, since we're on the topic of Xbox and Game Pass, is the new Blair Witch game that came out. And I gotta say, I was pleased with it, even though it did suffer from quite a few bugs. But overall, like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Like, it was. My problem with that game only was that it felt like I was playing two games at once, where it felt like a Blair Witch-esque, you know, via atmosphere and all that stuff. It felt like that for a while, and then like the last 2 hours or so just turned into layers of fear. That's all it was. It was just layers because it's Bloober Team, you know. So that's kind of like, they're very good with the psychological horror stuff. So I mean, honestly, I don't think anybody else would have been able to pull this game off outside of that. But it was one of those things where it was just like, I feel like, because Layers of Fear 2 like just came out earlier this year, I swear.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then they have this on top of it. And it's just like, okay, well, how much are they doing at once then? So I have this theory of just like, they were contracted to do this, you know, and then they were like, okay, well, we got some original material here, and then like the last couple hours, they're just like, just take what we have from Layers of Fear 3 and let's just paste it on here, you know.
And we got some Layers of Fear left over. Just throw it in here.
Right. Right. Just add a bunch of twigs.
We'll skin this game out another hour and a half. Okay. It's like,
and honestly, and that was the most frustrating part, because the last hour and a half felt so redundant, and it was just like, stop it. You could have ended this game an hour ago, and I would have been like, oh man, this would have been a nice, you know, 5-hour horror game. Instead, well, you ended up getting a 6.5, close to 7-hour horror game. That was just. It felt drawn out after a while, and the pacing was good for a while, and then it just was just like, here's Layers of Fear 3, by the way. You know, which again, I don't mind because I love Layers of Fear, but at the same time, it's like if I'm gonna go in and play Blair Witch, I'm gonna go in and play Blair Witch. All of a sudden, I'm playing Layers of Fear 3, and gets super confusing. I'm turning around. It does the Layers of Fear thing where like one screen will be the kitchen in this house. I'll turn around. All of a sudden, I'm in a police station because it's doing that weird psychological thing, and it's really cool to see. Don't get me wrong, but it's it just lost touch of what it was by the end of it. And it was unfortunate, but overall not a bad game per se. But yeah, I mean, I love horror games, and I do enjoy Blair Witch a lot as a lore wise. So it was very cool to see, and I appreciate the game existing. But I'm super convinced that it was just like, here's some leftover stuff, if not from other scrap stuff from Layers of Fear before. It was what they had for Layers of Fear 3 before they got contracted to do Blair Witch. And being on such a tight schedule.
Could be. Yeah,
it could be. It could be.
Hey.
It was literally like, let's just add a bunch of twigs and we'll be good to go. So
we're all good here.
So I got back into No Man's Sky recently.
A lot of people have.
Yeah, like that Beyond update was really something else because I haven't played since vanilla. And
oh man, there's
jumping
a lot of stuff then if you haven't played since vanilla.
It was overwhelming almost, but all of it. But I felt it was amazing because a lot of it was truly like some quality of life stuff, and it didn't feel like here's just a random update here, here's a random update there. Like it felt like I was like all the issues that I had with it originally now has been for the most part taken care of.
I mean, that's like the last big huge one they had with this. It was like Next, I think is what they called it. I forget. It was right when it came out on the Xbox. It was that same time. That's when I played it last, and they had made a ton of improvements by that point too. So I can only imagine it's even better now with the Beyond update because it sounded like just reading through, there's a ton that they added.
Right. I still haven't tried it.
No Man's Sky is now what we had thought it was going to be when it launched.
Yes, kind of what it feels like. It's like this is what it should have been.
And again, it just brings back like, hey, No Man's Sky was an early access game that they forgot to call early access.
Yeah.
So we got mad about it.
Right. Yeah,
it just accidentally became early access just because of how they got too much pressure and couldn't make it as quickly as they wanted to. But
and I think
good on them for sticking with it, and it seems like it's paid off for them because I'm sure they've sold a lot more copies since it came out than they even did when it had all the hype before it came out. So
yeah, no, I'm very happy, very happy for that team. I think it's I think the epitome of like a phoenix from the ashes. Really, this game of just it came out, it was a mess. It was weird too because. Because at the time it was Sony exclusive in terms of console exclusive, it was always, they kept using the word, here's this indie studio making this indie game, and then like it came out and it's $60 and I'm just like, indie? $60? That looks like a full MSRP game to me. So it was, and then a lot of people bought it and just clearly were upset with it. I think the reason why I had such a good experience when I played vanilla was because I modded the shit out of it. Like I if I had played it how it was intended, I would have been miserable. I would have been miserable. But like a lot of the quality of life updates we have now was stuff I had to mod before, like extra inventory space and
the inventory when it first came out was so much of a pain.
It was
small, just like navigating it, all of it was terrible. Now it's a lot better.
Yeah, it's so much better, and and so I modded the hell out of it back then. It was amazing. It was it was everything I wanted because it was for me rather than feeling like I was stressed trying to find materials, trying to stay alive in these super radiated planets and stuff like that. I could finally just explore, which is really all I wanted to do. You have this vast, beautiful universe. I just want to explore, and now they have creative mode, if I'm not mistaken. So now you can just all that stuff's out the window. You can just do exactly that, which is just explore with no penalty. But that wasn't an option before, it was like, so I had to like mod the hell out of it and just, be like, look, I want infinite boosts all of that. I just take me where I want to go. I don't want to be held down by these restrictions, and it made me enjoy the game a lot more. I could see what I wanted to see. I could experience the story without having these walls, of just like, oh, let me get 50 things of carbonite real quick, because I need to.
Or be like me and got stuck on a planet because you ran out of fuel, and the planet that you had to land on didn't have the stuff, so you couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
I couldn't do anything. It was like, well,
yeah.
This planet I got stuck on, and it was like, well, how do I get off of it? Because now I had to land somewhere or just float in space forever.
Yeah, that's one of the things that they have changed since vanilla is there's always a way to get fuel.
Yeah, which is nice. It's like, I spent more time trying to keep myself alive in that game in vanilla than anything.
They leaned way too far into like the survival stuff when they first did it, and now they've kind of found the balance a lot better.
Yeah, they really have.
Yeah, and that was the biggest issue, and because I always saw No Man's Sky as this, I never felt No Man's Sky was supposed to be like, let's say, what's that other game? Not Elite Dangerous. I never, Elite Dangerous is its own type of beast where it's just like, I mean, you hear these stories. I've read so many articles on like Kotaku and Polygon of like somebody's been stranded for 3 months, and people have to do a 1 month in real time, travel to find this dude stranded, in like 3 like solar systems away, and like how are we gonna get the fuel and stuff like that. That's too stressful, man. That's come on, man. Come on, stop it.
But plenty of people like that.
Oh,
but
yeah,
that's
but they
a
love
sim game. No Man's Sky is never trying to be a sim.
No, yeah, and that's my thing. It's just like, look, when I, if I get a job at NASA maybe, but until then, I'm just gonna play No Man's Sky because I just want to let my imagination take me where I want to go instead of this insane risk. Like, okay, well, how are the jets doing? How are the are we good on the engines? All right, did you replace your left wing? That one was kind of getting a little wonky. Like in Elite Dangerous, I'm like, come on, all right, come on. So but that's not to say I do appreciate Elite Dangerous and everything that it does, though. I think it's a beautiful game. I think the ideas there are great, but that simulation, super realistic thing is just not for me, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So that's why I play No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I still have not tried the VR. I do own it on PS4 as well. I mainly play on PC, No Man's Sky, but I still need to try the VR mode. And
It's fine.
I heard they updated it. Have you tried the update at all, or no?
I haven't tried the update. I think there was like a 10 gig update that just came out like the other day. I haven't tried it since then. But I haven't played it since the last time we did a show. That was the last time I played it in VR, and I mean it was fine. It wasn't like, oh, this is the VR game I have to show people when they come over to the house. Oh, you're coming to see VR? Let me drop you into No Man's Sky for a minute and check this out. I mean, it's cool, but I have a feeling on PC it's a lot better VR experience than it is on PlayStation 4. And maybe it may even be better on a PlayStation 4 Pro. I don't know. I'm not on a Pro, so that might have something to do with it too. But yeah, I definitely want to play it more. I haven't sat down to play it more because I know what it'll be. I won't want to play anything else but just fly from here to there.
It finds a way to consume you. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I've got too many other games that I really want to try to knock out before mid-September gets here. So.
Oh, man. September is already going to be crazy. I mean, we have Greedfall in a couple of days, and then there's like Link's Awakening happening later, and then Code Vein, and then AI, the Somnium Files for me. And I know for a fact there's some other ones I'm missing. It's just hard to keep up with it all.
Yeah, there's some new ones that we'll get into in the Nintendo Direct that already came out that I didn't even know, we didn't know was coming until they had the Nintendo Direct. And it's like, oh, I want that game. I've got Zelda and Ni no Kuni coming this month.
That's right.
And it's like next month is nothing that I really, really want. It's not going to say that there's nothing I'll buy, but there's nothing that I really, really want.
Not Luigi's Mansion.
Well, that one's one that I really I want, but I don't like. I'm just like, I don't have to have that one day one. You know,
Oh,
it's
okay.
like,
Yeah, no, that's my game for October because
Yeah.
I'm super hyped for
so
using it.
that will,
As someone
since I
As
have,
someone who played it at PAX, gotta agree with John.
yeah. I mean, I have it.
Nice.
I've got October cleared, so it's like, no new game purchases. So it's like, well, if that comes out, I can buy it. But then, and then
Right.
it's November, it's Star Wars and
Death
Pokemon,
Stranding for me.
and I
They get
forget
some
there's
Star
something
Wars.
else.
I might get
Death Stranding's coming.
Yeah, that one, that one. I'll wait a little while on. It might be a little too out there for me. I don't
Especially
know.
if I have someone to play with, Borderlands is definitely interesting.
Well, and that's like my buddy. He's all Borderlands. It's like, I don't think I want Borderlands right now. If it goes on sale or something like that, maybe. But
Yeah, Borderlands looks really, really good, but it's just Borderlands, and I've played that game twice, so I don't know that I need the third one right away.
Yeah, and I don't think I need to hop right back into it.
It might depend if I have some friends who are getting it and I want to play with, then I'd buy it maybe, but it's not like I need to rush out and play another Borderlands game.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I'm feeling about it. It's like, and that's like I say, like Control. If it happens to be on sale, they do some stupid sale the week it comes out, I'll pick it up. But if not, I'll get it whenever.
Could you use the Target pickup on it because it's a pre-order maybe?
No, that's already done anyway. It was only the week.
I'm so glad I got Control when I did.
Yeah, it was only last week. So. But yeah, I don't think it worked on pre-orders. So maybe, I don't know. But anyway, but yeah, so it's that time of year when craziness starts to happen with games. So
Made that right.
Anything else, Dennis? Before we let
so I guess just a small. I mean, this game came out a while ago, but I've been actually like what I've actually been actively playing the last couple of days is a game called The Missing. There's more to that title, but it just keeps going on, so I'm going to leave it as The Missing. The subtitle is
ridiculous title.
Yeah, and honestly, like it's an interesting game because it talks about heavy topics, right? It talks about emotional well-beings and mental health and suicide and things like that, but what I find the game incredibly frustrating because it's a game that the story is so good, but it's unfortunately it's brought down by it's supposed to be like a puzzle platformer. The problem is the platforming is not very good, like at all. And you get a lot of the story through text messages on your phone, and there's not too much happening in terms of like. There's this weird shift in environments that you have these scenes, if you will, that you would think there's environmental storytelling because of how it shifts from like one theme to another. Like you'll be in a graveyard 1 second, and the next second you'll be in like this circus-looking place, and the next second you'll be in like a gas station looking, or like a place under construction, whatever. And each one of those has their own kind of vibe to it, but there's still the stuff you have to go through is just so frustrating, and there's a lot of input lag as well. Now, granted, I'm playing on the Switch. I don't know if this is the same case for the other platforms that's on, but it does stutter from time to time, and it's unfortunate because the gameplay is like honestly mediocre. But I'm really trying to hard get through it because like the story is so good, and I feel like I've gone too far where it's just like I don't want to stop now, so let me just finish it no matter how much more BS I have to go through. And to really, because apparently from what I've heard, like the ending is it wraps up really great. And so at the very least, let me just finish it, even if the gameplay is really hindering the experience for me. And I'm someone who loves puzzles and I love platformers. You combine both of those things, and then we're gonna have a good time if it's done well. Unfortunately, it's not the case here. But a lot of great ideas that I think but with unpolished gameplay, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, that's what I've been mainly playing. Nice little indie game.
I played games like that, and I've always been a strong supporter of if the story's good, I can play the game, no matter how bad the controls are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, it's just like, it gets
it takes a toll on you. Yeah, because like it's the gameplay. To just for people who've never heard the myths or anything like that, the best way I can describe it is it's a left to right, puzzle platformer similar in the same vein as like Inside or Limbo or Planet Alpha, stuff like that, or Little Nightmares, things like that. Only not nearly as polished. So, but the story's really great, and the art is fantastic as well. As you're going through the game and like you collect these little donuts, these little collectibles, and depending on how much you collect, you'll unlock certain. They call them cheats. They're not cheats. They just kind of change your outfit. Like you'll have glasses, or you can have a cheat to turn on like a different hue for your jacket,
Right.
and but you can see a bunch of concept art as well, and it's just like everything about that game visually is just gorgeous, but it's just that gameplay is like, come on, man, it's just it really, you really need to be patient to play that game. Like patience is key, but that story is just so good. But yeah.
There's been some times with it's like, you know what, I'll just go to YouTube and watch it.
I've been there many times. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'll just go find. There's surely somebody has took all the cutscenes out and put them in things for me just to watch it.
But God bless those people, man. The people that make like cinematic versions of those types of games.
Yeah. So Eric, what have you been playing?
It is my turn. Let's see. I have not been playing anything exciting. Besides all the stuff I played at PAX over the weekend, and a little bit before I left for my trip, I played some Travis Strikes Again on Nintendo Switch. It had been probably a month, and I couldn't really remember the controls. It's like, how do I recharge my saber? So that was fun. Made it further. I tried.
So you started over, and
I was like halfway through the first level. I'm like, okay, how do I play again? I tried the other character too, Batman. I just stick with Travis. They're pretty much the same character. There's not much difference. It's fun. Let's see. We got review codes for Redeemer and Forbidden Arts. Forbidden Arts reminds me of kind of like Zelda 2, I guess is the only way to describe it. Kind of 2D platforming with RPG. It's interesting. The music got on my nerves very quickly. It's pleasant, but it plays all of the time.
I got you. Never stops.
Redeemer, I stayed up till like 1 on Friday playing this. I don't know why. I recommend playing it on the TV. It is a top-down action game, kind of like Dead Nation is the best way to describe it. Only it's not really zombies, there's monsters, and you can slaughter the heck out of them.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
And I was like, ooh, this is cool. There's some weird glitches. It crashed. The game crashed like 3 or 4 times on me. But other than that, I made it to the end boss. So it was fun. It was relatively entertaining. And, of course, Symphony of the Night. I played some more of that before I left for PAX. I'm getting further in it. And I see why people like this game. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Even though, it hasn't necessarily aged the best.
No, but
I'm still very interested in everything it has. And I got past a boss fight. So I'm like, all right. I think I understand how this works. So I'll keep playing that. But other than that, I didn't play anything else. Before PAX, I barely played anything. I took my 3DS XL with me to PAX, and I also took my Switch with me, and I didn't even use either.
I didn't figure. It was too much going on. I mean, I
didn't have to wait hardly in any lines or anything. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, before we talk about the PAX stuff, I do want to hit on some of what Nintendo had their Nintendo Direct last week. I missed the first, I think, 10 minutes of it. I really didn't go back and watch it because it was like, I don't think I missed anything in the first, except maybe the Overwatch announcement.
That was like right out of the gate.
Yeah. So that was what I missed, and Twitter caught me up on that pretty quick. So it's like,
the one thing that surprised me, well, sort of surprised me, is like I was wondering when they started with that if there would also be like, and coming to Smash Brothers, Overwatch character.
Yeah, that was what I figured would happen. I figured by the end of it.
The style of Overwatch characters would totally fit into Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
for sure. Did not do that.
No, but there's
Because then they'd have to pick which one they're going to put in there, right? Because there's
Yeah.
so many that.
it still could happen. Who knows?
Tracer would be the obvious one though, just because she's the poster girl.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them that are like the poster character for too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see almost any of the like original characters from Overwatch being in there.
So this game, Overwatch, comes out the 15th of October. It's digital only. Even if you go in the store and you buy the physical copy, it's just a download code with a year of the online with it. So there's actually no cartridge version of the game. It's being done by what studio was it called? Iron. They did the ports of Diablo, and they did one
Iron
of the
Galaxy.
Yeah, but that's it, Iron Galaxy. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I kept wanting to say Iron Horse, and I'm like, that's not right. That's like,
Diablo was a solid port though, so this one should be good.
yeah. I'm anxious to see. I think it runs at 30 frames a second on the Switch, is what I saw. I don't think it runs at 60 frames. I think it's at 30, if I remember right. I have to look again. Yeah, that's the only thing. Let's see.
Overwatch is a fast-paced game that would
PC.
benefit a lot from a faster frame rate.
Yeah, Overwatch.
That it would.
Frame rate switch. I saw it the other day, and I don't remember.
Yeah.
I saw it on Twitter, I think, and I may have retweeted it. But
Paladin's running at 60.
let's see.
And that's kinda
Overwatch on
surprising
Nintendo Switch will run at 30 frames a second and 900p.
I don't mind the resolution, but 30 frames.
Overwatch is a game that you could down res the graphics and the art style would still come through very well, and
Yeah.
like the levels are not that huge to where you could not get that to run at 60 on Switch. I don't think.
Yeah.
Maybe they tried and it just was more of a
Yeah, maybe it
downgrade
was
than I'm
doable,
thinking
just
that it would
there's
need.
because-
But
Yeah. And,
Yeah,
and
alright.
undocked, it still runs 30 frames a second. It just runs at 720p. So it's not
Oh, that's
really
fine.
difference in docked and undocked. Really,
I mean, that's what you would expect from
Yeah.
other types of games on Switch that would do something like that.
They haven't said, or I don't know if they've said or they haven't decided if it's going to be multi-platform. I think it's going to be Switch players only as of right now.
That
Which
honestly is probably for the best.
Yeah,
for
it
this,
is, yeah.
So
With half the frames,
with
yeah.
half the frames, that would probably be best, just to let Nintendo people play with Nintendo people. It's like-
Like even against like
Yeah.
Xbox or PlayStation, you'd be at such a disadvantage.
yeah.
Correct.
SNK character Terry is coming to Smash Brothers. That was kind of not a real big surprise. That was kind of leaked a couple days before.
Yay.
Yay! Yeah.
Hey.
Banjo Kazooie still hasn't
Banjo
come
and
out.
Kazooie, he is not.
Nope, that is for sure. They did talk about, they have added, for those who don't already know, they have added Super NES games to the online. So if you're an online member, you can download I think there's 20 of them, and it's all the good ones. So you get them all at once. They're not going to release them month to month like they have before. They're just going to do big bunches of them at random times of the year. So, but you get Link to the Past, Super Metroid, Mario World. You get all the highlighted
Yoshi's
games.
Island, all sorts of stuff in there.
Yeah, there's all kinds of good ones. in
F-Zero.
there. F-Zero, Kirby. You even get Super Puya Puya. Any chance I get to say Puya Puya, I'll take it. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition from Monolith Soft is coming out.
This is from the Wii.
This is the
The
Wii.
Wii game remastered.
This is a remaster of the Wii game, of the remaster of the 3DS version, of the remaster on the Switch.
Sure.
So yeah. I mean, it does look nice. When I first saw the trailer at the beginning of it, I thought either it's Chronicles or X, or it's a new Xenoblade game, and it's the first one again, which is fine. A lot of people still haven't played that. If you didn't have a 3DS, and at one point on the Wii, it was a super expensive game because it was a really limited print and prices
never
shot up
played it,
through the
so
roof. And
I might end up picking this up. At some point.
it's very different than the last Xenoblade Chronicles that came out. I like the style of Xenoblade
yeah, that's what I
that
remember
like, so.
hearing.
It's definitely worth a pickup if you've never played it before. Just skimming down the list. Another game that's Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE Encore.
Thank God. My God. I have been screaming for that. Okay. I've been screaming for that. I was like, look, out of every game that needs to be ported on Wii U, and slowly but surely they were getting the good ones.
Where's my wonderful 101?
Well, that's it.
Yeah, that's true.
We've
There's
got like
that too.
3
Yeah,
or
that's
4
true.
Wii U games left that have not been ported, so it's like, come on, just put them out, guys.
And but
Hell,
finally,
give me Wind Waker on Switch. I want it.
because my biggest thing is like, I'm a big Shin Megami Tensei fan, but like we haven't heard about Shin Megami Tensei 5 since like the Switch got announced. So like I was like, you need to have this to hold people over, please, for the love of God. And finally,
it's an interesting game. I will say that I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot, but it is very, very different.
It is very, yeah.
And then they had the usual stuff. They looked at Legend of Zelda. They looked at Pokemon. They had Luigi's Mansion, Animal Crossing. They did the Super Kirby Clash, which is a free-to-start multiplayer game.
Yeah, that's interesting. Kind of.
Yeah.
Not for me. Maybe.
No, not for me either. But Divinity Original Sin 2, that's one I really want. What's cool about
That's
it is...
surprising, and they just like, hey, by the way, it's there.
Yeah,
Go
it's
get
here
it.
tomorrow. Here you go. It's
Right.
$50. I'm definitely going to pick it up. What's cool is it has cross-save between the PC version and the Switch version, which is cool.
That's
with
so
the PC
awesome. I
player.
love that.
Yeah, I like that because
Yeah,
they
like,
did that
I would
with...
do that for starting a new one. I wouldn't pick up an old one. It looks not as good as I would hope it would look,
Yeah.
but it still looks pretty good. But
Yeah.
it's definitely a step down from the PC version.
Yeah.
Which is weird for a game like that. You wouldn't think that it would be, but
Yeah.
And the interface looks a lot different than the PC version.
Little Town Hero. It's a new RPG from Game Freak, the dudes who make Pokemon.
Isn't that the one that was like Town or something before
Yeah.
when they first
Yeah.
showed it?
Yeah, it
now
was-
it has a real name.
Yeah, now it has a real name. I think it was just Town Hero or something like that before. I can't remember now. Town something.
I think it was Towns. I think it was just Towns.
Towns, maybe
And that was
that's
like
what it is.
the working title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a terribly generic title. So I'm
Yeah,
glad
that
they
really
changed
is.
it.
But yeah, that one looks cool. Doom 64.
Isn't that
was
the one
shown.
that's the Pokemon people doing Little Town Heroes? It's the same developer.
Yeah, it's Game
right?
Freak. Yep.
Yeah. It looks like a Pokemon game.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Just like the art style of it is like, hey, this looks like Pokemon.
Yeah. And let's see, that comes out like what, October? That comes out really soon,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
mid-October.
Yeah, mid-October. So I wasn't expecting that one to be a this year release at all. I figured that would be a next year release.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi
That's so
Outcast.
weird.
Oh yeah,
That's so weird.
I kind of had a feeling that this was going to happen because
One of
limited.
them's coming to PS4 too, right?
Well, that one's coming to PS4 too. Limited Run already had their order of you could buy these physically. They just didn't have the Switch version, so I had a feeling that Switch and everybody else would eventually get them because they're going to do the next one too. Was it
Jedi Academy.
Jedi Academy? That one will be out next year. I'll probably pick that up. I love that game. Just to see a kind of a remastered, quote unquote, remastered version of it, I would like to play that on the Switch. I think that would be fun. Assassin's Creed: The Rebel Collection was announced. That's Black Flag and Rogue together.
Sure.
In a
Deadly Premonition 2.
Yep, that was the next one I was going to say. Deadly Premonition
All right.
2, and one just came out during the show. They had one up. So.
That's one game I never expected to get a sequel. It's Deadly Premonition.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a game that, like, after it got its cult following, I tried to play, could not push through it.
Yeah, it was free on PlayStation Plus. I think I played like an hour of it and I went, okay, this is
It's hit or miss for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I can see why people like it, and as someone who really likes Alan Wake, like, I like the vibe of it. I just could not get through, like, gameplay stuff. I made it a few hours and it just, like, couldn't go on.
Yeah. And then they showed a montage, and they kind of skimmed over a lot of games like NBA and Outer Worlds and Just Dance. And they just happened to throw in Devil May Cry 2 in there, just kind of oddly. You know, that was like...
Yeah.
Why that one?
Yeah,
Like,
it was just, okay.
They also
Capcom.
showed like 2 seconds of Yokai Watch 4, I noticed. And
Yeah.
I was like, why? Why this should be a big one for
Yeah.
Switch, and then they just like, here's 2 cents.
I guess they threw it in there because, like, well, it's not coming out this year, but we haven't forgotten it, guys. But, you know.
Oh, we won't get Yokai Watch 4 until Yokai Watch 7 comes out in Japan. That's
Yeah.
just how it's always.
They did talk a little bit about Trials of Mana. The remastered version will be out April 24th, 2020, which you can
That's
already
one of my most
pre-order
hyped.
now.
I'm amazed. I can pre-purchase so many games coming out in 2020 on the eShop. The Pokemon is still nowhere to be found.
Yeah, that's so weird. I don't understand
Bothers me.
why.
I have a voucher. I have a Switch voucher I want to use specifically for that. Come on.
Yeah, it's that one's a weird one, but it's like, you know, it's like they kept saying this game's coming out in April 2020. Pre-order today, and it's like, I'm not going to pre-order a digital game today that comes out in 6 months.
A couple of those where it was like, it's available pre-order today, and they didn't date. You're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, why? It's not like you're going to sell out of a digital game, and if
Not that exciting, guys.
yeah, you know, it's not like it's a limited edition physical copy or something. Like
I think
that.
for them, it's almost like a sales forecast type thing.
Yeah,
You know, just
This
like
is-
some.
well, I think that too, and it's like Nintendo goes, "This is what we think's going to be hot, so you might want to pre-order it." You know, it's I don't know. It's very, very.
Never mind Pokemon.
Yeah, never mind Pokemon. We don't need to worry about pre-orders for Pokemon. Everybody's going to buy that.
Everyone's gonna buy it.
But was there anything that I missed that stood out to you guys, or that you're interested in?
Vampire's coming, which is early
yeah.
October, which is late October for that one.
I forgot, yeah,
And
Vampire.
Call of Cthulhu is early October.
Yeah, that one looks really
So
cool.
some kind of horror themed games in time for Halloween.
Yep.
I'm amazed that's still not on. I've been wanting to try that game, but I can smell the Game Pass all over it. That's the thing.
Which one?
And I'm just like, hurry up and just come to Game Pass, please.
Call of Cthulhu.
Which game? Oh, Call of Cthulhu.
Call of Cthulhu, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you got Farm Simulator. Everybody loves Farm Simulator.
Yeah, I'm going esports for that.
I tell you what, we laugh, but that is a huge thing over in Europe in esports. It's crazy.
I mean, there's lots of simulator games that are super huge. There's so many of them at this point.
Yep. All right, Eric,
All right.
it's up to
Let's do the
you.
PAX
I'm going to
stuff.
stop choking here. And
Perfect. I'll do
Go
the
ahead.
talking. So, what do you guys want to hear about? I mean, you guys want to hear about like what the highlights were? You know, day to day press stuff. I'll just go down the list.
Yeah, just go
All
ahead.
right. So let's see. I haven't been to PAX West in a couple of years. Things have changed. They added they got metal detectors, just like at the other conventions. It's going to take you a lot longer to get in if you're a regular person. And I try to go a couple hours in advance. You know, I had the press pass. I got to go in early 3 days, and one day they wouldn't let us in early due to, you know, fire marshal stuff. But second day, got in early. I went straight to Nintendo because I knew it was going to be busy because they were line capping that early in the day. So I played some Link's Awakening. I will be buying that. I played Luigi's Mansion. It's fun. It's not for me. I've only dabbled briefly in the other Luigi's Mansions games, so I kind of knew what to expect. It's really cool. The art's good. Controls are fun, but it's not really my type of game.
Yeah, I really like
Not-
the
I
GameCube
did
version.
not get a chance to play Pokemon because I had to pick. I'll go with these two. But Link's Awakening, I was like, wow, this is really fun.
And you
I'm
picked the right
this-
one because you got that cool keychain.
I do. It's someplace in a bag in the other room.
Yeah, that keychain.
I got the
awesome.
Luigi's pins too. So,
Yeah, those were cool. That keychain
Like-
was sweet.
but, so that was pretty cool. The last day I was there on Sunday, I went in early, obviously, and I tried to go to Borderlands. And it was very long. They said, well, probably a 30-minute, 40-minute wait. And I had a meeting in the beginning of the morning, so I had to leave. But I walked by Sony, and Iron Man VR was open. Sony used the PlayStation Experience app to book times for all their games. If you want to see Death Stranding. If you want to see that, Stranding. If you wanted to play Predator, if you wanted to like play Iron Man VR or any of their other VR games, you had to like pick a time, and it only opened in the morning. The app worked in the morning and in the afternoon. Every day it would fill up. I walked by, Iron Man VR was available. The guy's like, "You want to play?" I said, "Yes, sir."
What is the release date on that? Have they said yet?
They said they couldn't tell me. I asked a couple like questions like that, and they said they didn't really have a release date yet, but it is pretty cool. Flies around with Iron Man. You put on. It feels like you're in the helmet and you're using the repulsors. You can blast stuff. It did make me nauseous though which was interesting. But it was a lot of fun flying around, shooting stuff. Played for about 15
And it's not just a rail shooter; it's
No,
semi
it's
open
free control.
world. Yeah,
You
it's
can
not.
like turn using your head or turn using the move controls like a button, and I had trouble with that, but it was still fun, boosting around corners and stuff, and like it's really cool.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Who's developing that? Is it Hello Games or am I thinking of somebody else?
I do not know.
Because I remember, I'm trying to remember just because I remember when they announced that at E3 and I was just like, wow, they're developing it. I want to say Hello Games, but I might be wrong. It's someone that you wouldn't think would be developing that game is developing that game.
It's it's a studio. Camouflage.
Yeah, it's some
Oh,
odd.
Camouflage. Okay, so that's why I know them. So Camouflage, they did Republic, and I like Republic a lot.
Oh, interesting.
That's right.
It's
Yeah,
kind of different.
it's like a stealth.
But it looks good. Like I'm pretty impressed. It's going to be one of those games where people will buy a VR setup to play it.
Well, that's why one of the reasons why I bought a VR headset was because when they announced that game, that's when I was like, okay, now I'm kind of interested in VR. You know, there was enough for me to go, okay. And then 20 games later, it's before Iron Man even came out. It's like, oh well, there was a lot more than I thought there was.
There's this other game. I played another game. There was a shooter. Let's see. I took a picture of it real quick. I'll try to dig it up in a second. But let's see. I spent most of my time with indies. I did play the Predator game. It's Sony has the 4 versus 1, kind of like Evolve, Team Soldiers versus the Predator. Being the Predator's the cool thing to do. I got stuck as a soldier, and I mean it was entertaining. It looks really good, but I'm really not certain. I don't know if it has very much appeal to me, just because of what it is. Let me see if I can figure out this other game really quick. Oh yeah, Aspire. It's an FPS VR game. And it's still, they didn't have a date for this either at Sony's booth. It is I thought it was a little bit difficult, mainly because of the controls. There's a lot of stuff you can do with the move and the move buttons. And I was like, but it was interesting.
Aspire 1, is that it?
Yeah, ESPIRE and the number 1.
Number 1, yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. The Groundhog Day game was there too. I didn't get a chance to play that, and I was kind of curious about that too. But all right.
Oh, I remember seeing this game. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Iron Man's more fun than that. Aspire felt pretty rough, but it was at least interesting.
Yeah.
I only managed to get to go to 2 panels. I went to the Borderlands panel late because I had me with NIS, and I wanted to give them as much time as possible. So I went to the Borderlands panel. The line was super long. I sat outside for half an hour, got in, had 15 minutes, had to go to my next meeting. They showed Borderlands and Homeworld stuff.
Huh.
And other stuff. Homeworld's coming to mobile, I guess. That was the big thing that I kind of caught. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Huh.
So they showed a little bit of footage of that. But, Randy Pitchford's up there doing his thing with his magic tricks and giving away stuff and giving away swag and, just being himself. I also went to the Cheap Ass Gamer panel one night, too. They usually have a big panel to talk about how you get good deals on video games. And I'm always surprised when I go there, especially a couple of years ago, how many people didn't know what Gamers Club Unlocked was, or that you could pre-order on Amazon and save 20% when they used to do that a lot. Like, really? We live in our box? But he always has tons of stuff to give away. All the stuff he gets super cheap. Yeah. Guy that runs
and you got to remember too that I think the 75% of gamers don't care. They just go out and buy it.
Yeah,
whether it's at Walmart or GameStop or whatever, they don't worry about price or
most of us are like,
deal.
Let's buy it.
Well, the thing about it, like with me, is I buy a lot of games. I mean, I buy a lot of games, and I don't like to spend full price on games if I can help it. There are a few games that I will spend full price on. Shenmue 3 buying the collector's edition and the Kickstarter edition, even though I don't need 2 copies of the game.
I concur.
I don't look at price tags for Yakuza.
Well, I don't either. I don't look at price tags for you.
I'm sure
and most of your Nintendo first party releases, they never.
It's gonna be tough. Yeah, it's gonna be tough to get a deal unless you get it used, and even then, or if you, a new deal, it's gonna be tough. I spent a lot of time playing some indies. Let's go down the list. So PAX Rising was kind of a section in the middle of the show, separate from the indie mega booth. I went through the indie mega booth, and it was packed with so many people. It's like, nah. But PAX Rising is, they kind of like pick games that have like done really well, and they're kind of like highlighted them like for indie games. And so I played Elsie. This is a platformer, 16-bit. It reminded me of Mega Man, like the Mega Man games for Super Nintendo. You can Google it. It was really well designed, very interesting. I also played Foregone, and that is a game that's coming at early 2020. It's a platformer that has roguelike stuff, kind of like Dead Cells. They directly told me that they were inspired by that, and that was pretty cool. Both those games are really interesting. Also played Collapsed. It's another kind of retro themed 16-bit platformer game. Also kind of like Dead Cells, but it was good too to play that. A couple other games checked out. I checked out Bite the Bullet by Mega Cat. Mega Cat guys are always really nice and want to show me stuff. This is a run and gun game. It was originally a Genesis release, but so it's been kind of like they're modernizing it. And the coolest thing about this, you can eat everything. You can eat items, enemies, guns. That was pretty cool. It gets really complicated.
Yeah, Mega Cats has some really cool stuff.
And then there was a couple other games that they had. Then I came back and talked to them again because they're up on the 6th floor, and I had meetings up there. There was this game in their booth called Res Please. It's a game from Portland, Oregon. It is a Lost Vikings inspired game about two brother wizards, and you can kill each other and like use them to like solve puzzles and defeat enemies. And it was fantastic. It was really cool. I played it for probably 20 minutes, and it might be my indie game of the show. The art style and gameplay are fantastic. So if you like anything like the Lost Vikings, Res Please is definitely really cool, and I'll be keeping an eye on that. I played Jamestown. It's a shmup with up to 4 players, and it's like a steampunk sort of theme. That was really cool.
Yeah,
that
one's been out a long while.
I swung. They had emailed me about just meeting with them, but I never had a chance to actually meet with them. But I did swing by the booth and play.
I think it's coming out on Switch now. I think that's kind of why they pushed it again. But yeah, Jamestown is really fun. Hey, Danny, how's it going? Yeah, Jamestown is great. He's right. I think it was free on PlayStation Plus at one time or something. I don't know. I've got it somehow. I know I bought it on PC, but I don't know how I got it on PS4.
Even though I'm terrible at them. I played Project Witchstone and Solasta. That's how you pronounce it, I think. They're both CRPGs. Witchstone is a sandbox game. It looks and kind of plays like Divinity 2 or Divinity Original Sin 2 or Baldur's Gate. You have a party, but everything you do in the game affects the rest of the game. Quest lines, everything. It is crazy. And I watched the guy demo it, and it was pretty interesting. And like on-screen dice rolls to like check your abilities and things. It's pretty in depth. But Solasta, that is something similar. It looks similar, but it has a lot of gear and attack options. One of the cool things in that game is I played it for like 30 minutes, but it has a lot of elements that use like shadows and light and where the enemies are if you can't see them and things like that for ranged attacks. Definitely recommend looking that game up if you're interested in sort of the traditional computer playing games. I was very interested. Swung by Yacht Games, played some new Shovel Knight Showdown. That's a fighting game like Smash. All your favorite Shovel Knight characters are in there. You got your Plague Knight and your Clock Knight and all the others I really don't know. But it is fun. They have all neat little unique abilities and items you can use, and it's all sort of like 16-bit looking, and it was really entertaining. And it has a little bit of like the Power Stone element too, because you have to collect the gems. Nothing happens when you collect the gems, so that's how you win. So that was kind of interesting. I also played Cyber Ninja. It's pretty much like Shinobi.
Yeah,
it's fun.
That's what I'm waiting for. That game looks fantastic.
I hung out with Blowfish Studios. They're from Australia. I had to think about that for a minute. I played 3 of their games. I played Whipsy, which is a little cute platformer that it looks like Kirby kind of, but he has a little whip and he like swings some stuff and whips enemies, and it's very easy. I saw lots of kids playing it, so yeah, I really like that. I played Obey Me, which is a top-down action brawler. It was interesting. It's got co-op. They didn't really have a release date on that. I thought I was hoping I could play somebody with co-op for that game, but there was nobody. No one was around. I played Kung Fu Kickball too, which is all you have to do is just 2 guys trying to kick the kickball into a bell and score points. So and you can kick each other and stuff. It's really simple, and matches are pretty intense. So that was a lot of fun.
That sounds pretty neat.
Yeah, I saw a lot of games. These are all I put all these notes together just to make it easy. And then I had a really good time. I got to go to a big press meeting with NIS, and even though I'm not like their games aren't really for me because I'm not a big Japanese RPG guy, they have a lot of cool stuff coming out. And they said I could have stayed there and played for a long time. Like you can stay as long as you want. You don't have another meeting, so you can keep playing. I was like, oh, I played two things. I played TikTok. It's an RPG, and they said it's an RPG with time travel. They said it's geared toward families to play together, like mom and dad and the kids to play too. I thought that was kind of interesting. They described it as anime Jimmy Neutron, which is what it looks like, the art style.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's
is that the Destiny Connect?
I think
that
so.
is?
Maybe
Because I'm looking
John
forward to
might know.
that, and that's what that sounds like.
It is fun. I was entertained. I thought that the characters were kind of cool. I also
I
played
love NIS.
La Mulana, which is a re-release, which I don't think we had gotten the second game in the West. It's an 8-bit kind of inspired retro platformer Indiana Jones adventure games for platforms and caves.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool.
TikTok travelers. That's it.
They gave me for that. They had some swag. They're like, "Oh, we have some swag. It's a box of curry. That's a box of curry." I was like, "That's kind of cool." So that was neat. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me look at my notes real quick. But it was a good time. There's lots of fun stuff to do. I only I waited in line. Borderlands was Gearbox had a bunch of stuff at Borderlands. You could wait in line to play the game. You get like cosplay makeup done. You could look at like video screenshots and video stuff of the game, and then put yourself in there. And I did that, and they gave me a pin. I thought that was kind of interesting. Pretty much covers it up. Covers it. I mean, there wasn't really. I mean, everything went well, and it was a good time. And I wish I had got to spend more time at Nintendo's booth or more time upstairs of like limited run games and Way Forward. I played the River City Girls.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited for that, man.
That's a pretty cool brawler. If you like anything like Scott Pilgrim, you'll like it.
I love brawlers. I love Way Forward as well. So
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
And they had Shantae as well, but I couldn't.
Oh my god.
There was not enough time for me to play it. I had to run to another meeting and came back. The line it was like
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to pre-order that River City Girls from
it's
Limited Run.
Open pre-orders.
Yeah.
You got a little time. Ooh, forgot to mention. I did a couple other things I did see is I got to play Streets of Rage 4. It is amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. If you like Streets of Rage, you're gonna like this game. I tried Axel and Candy. So Candy's a new character. I also tried Blaze too. Obviously, everyone knows. Blaze plays like she plays in Streets of Rage 3. Candy's faster than Blaze. She's some pretty cool combos. Axel plays like he did in Streets of Rage 2. He can't run. He's slower, but he just had a lot of damage.
Right.
So it was amazing. Everything you've seen, I was like, I want this now. If I could buy this now, I would.
It does come out this year, doesn't it? Or does it?
I believe it does.
I don't know if I've seen a release date.
I played Windjammers 2, which is if you like Windjammers, you'll like the game. It was, throw the disc around, do some cool tricks, do some neat stunts. It was interesting. They also had Dead Cell, the new Dead Cell. Well, they had Dead Cells nearby, and they're showing off the new content. That's pretty cool. They actually made it. They said they made it easier and easier for beginners to play, and they focus more on like the tactics. That's some new weapons up with the whip. It's kind of cool. You pull enemies, you pull yourself to enemies, and then you punch them. So like it's like a tentacle. So that was kind of neat.
Oh,
some other cool stuff, and they have like another couple. Yeah. So they said the end is a little bit easier for people that were struggling.
Well, that's always good because
what was really fun. Well, I have not beat it, but what was really fun about that is I was up there playing it, and they're like, "Oh, you played this before?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love this game." They're like, "Oh, that's so cool. We get so many people up here that haven't played it." Some other guy was next to me. He's like, "Oh, how do you do this?" And I was like, talking to him about the game and stuff. And I almost bought that the collector's edition, the physical release there.
Yeah, I'd almost pre-ordered that a couple when they had it. Signature Series or whoever it was.
Yeah, and I saw the Messenger too. They had that Devolver's booth.
Yeah.
My biggest advice for PAX, and this is something I did not do a very good job of this year because of my media pass. Even if you have a media pass, try to come up with a plan of what you want to do for the day. Maybe see 1 to 2 AAA games, and try to block time out. Don't try to do everything. Like maybe one day go to the indie mega booth, one day go upstairs to see the other indie stuff, one day try to hit a couple AAA games because you're gonna be standing in line.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention Nintendo had something on their site for like a VIP pass. They opened spots so you could get in and demo their games. That launched a couple weeks before PAX. It was filled up within 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'll bet. I can only imagine.
And I knew the only way I was going to be able to play those games if I went early. So
Yeah.
that
Well,
was fun.
that's why we got the media pass.
I wish I would have been able to see more stuff, but I didn't want to, drive myself bonkers too much. But it was packed with people and the weather was good. And
How many floors is that now? 6?
So it is. So it is. It has like the big expo hall, then it has like a couple small floors, and you can go up to the 6th floor, which has another big chunk of it. And then they used to have like the free play up there and the arcade, but they moved that to the annex, which is across the street, where you can go to the PC area, console free play, PC free play, and then the arcade. And then down, they have a couple theaters and a hotel down the street, a couple more theaters, and it's pretty spread out. Versus PAX East is all in that one big convention center.
Yeah.
PAX
Yeah.
South, same thing. So but
That's cool.
good.
Yeah, I'd like
glad I
to.
got to go.
I'm glad that we got that you got media passes because that
Yeah, it was-
gives you a little bit of time.
and
Then
lots of
the
yeah,
NIS
lots of the other
people
companies
were.
were pretty excited about, even if we just talked, even the indie
Yeah.
guys, like, if you just talk about it on the podcast and let us know, we're happy about
Yeah.
that.
The NIS guys have been with me since,
They're
well,
nice.
since I started
nice.
doing this, and I was back at Gooser Nation. So
It
they-
was funny. They're like, "How familiar are you with our games?" I'm like, "I know of your games, and I know what they are, and I know several of those titles. Why don't you just tell me what you got?"
I know that
That's
you
right.
make games, but why don't you tell me the name of the movie you would like to
develop
see?
games, and they're like RPGs, right? They had a lot of good stuff, and I was very impressed.
Well, that's cool. I like the guys over at NIS. They're pretty good.
The Mega Cat guys are the other guys I had a lot of fun with.
Yeah, Mega Cat guys are awesome. I met
They
up
just
with
kept telling me,
them.
"Come back when you have time. Let's play some more." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, whatever."
I met up with them in Columbus when they were. I shot them an email and said, "Hey, are y'all going to be at the GDEX in Columbus?" They're like, "Yeah, stop by." So I stopped by when I was up there on a Sunday, and the owner was there, and we stood and talked for 20 minutes and played some of the new games. And then he was like, "Oh, here, before you leave, here's a copy of
Yeah,
Little
like,
Medusa."
Have you played any of our games, or how do you know about us? The only game I could think of off the top of my head was the Log Jammers, right?
Yeah,
Then I was like, "Oh, that game!" Like, "Oh, cool." And I was like, "Oh, I know about Coffee Crash stuff like that." So that was interesting. But when I went by Limited Run booth to pick up a couple things for a friend back home, a couple of their guys were like, "Hey, how's it going? It's been a while. You gonna?" And they were like, "You were like one of the very first guys that came to our booth at Portland Retro Gaming Expo when we were there for the first time, and you won a prize." I'm glad they remember that part of it.
Yeah.
Yes, I won an Octodad tie when that was what was their third? That was their third or fourth release, right?
yeah, that was real early. That was
And
real
so
early.
I remember I think that was 2014, and it was pretty small. There was a few people going by their booth, but
Yeah.
most people didn't know what they were. I knew what they
Yeah.
were because I'd purchased Odd.
Well, and I'd gotten in contact with them when they were still just making. They weren't actually releasing games. They were, they were a developer, and they were doing Saturday night or Saturday morning RPG in Cary. And I'd always intended to actually stop by their offices, but then we moved and I never got a chance to go before we left. But they're really good guys. They do a lot. They do a lot with us, and we try to do a lot for them, especially on the retro side.
Yeah, I did see a couple internet celebrities. I ran into Metal Jesus, and I ran into John Hancock. They're both up there.
Yeah, they're
Both
probably
of them.
running together. They're always.
Yep, they were buying stuff from the run. They know who I am, so we chatted for a few minutes, and then if you guys listen to the Retronauts podcast, I ran into Bob Mackey in the line for Nintendo. I was like, "Ooh, I know that guy." So we chatted for a few minutes. He was here as a panel host. He had a Talking Simpsons panel. I went to that for a little bit, and he had some other stuff he was doing. And they told him in the Nintendo line, this was Saturday morning, "Oh, you're an exhibitor or a presenter. Oh, you should come back. We can't let you play the games early until Sunday or Monday." And I was like, "Wow, that's kind of crummy." Here he is standing in line.
Well, yeah, Seems kind of sucks. He stood there in line like everybody else, being
Yeah,
a nice
he'd been live for
patron.
like 10 minutes, and he was like hanging out. And he's like, "Oh, he's like, I want to play Link's Awakening. If I can only pick one game, I was like, I think you can play both probably." So,
You will have to come back.
yeah, yes, sir. You'll have to come. But actually, if you go to PAX and you can only go for 2 days or 1 day, Monday would probably be the best day to go.
Yeah.
Because that is going to be when it's the most dead. You might not be able to get swag. Yes, John, I did ask about shirts. I only got one shirt.
Yeah,
Predator shirt.
they
And I
don't.
didn't have the size you requested.
They don't do big man shirts. They go quick and.
But like, you want a medium? I'm like looking around. I was like,
Sure, for my arm. Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
see any small children running around?
If you get me 2, maybe I could make, one for each side, maybe.
I remember several years ago I went, and all they had left at the last was double XLs, which I was really surprised, and smalls. I'm like, why did you bring?
So weird. Yeah, why do you bring smalls?
You should bring a handful of smalls, maybe.
Never understood
Like,
that.
you have like 50 smalls. I'm like,
These
"There's
people don't know their clientele.
Yeah, that's important. See that guy over there? He can't fit a small.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
well.
Nah, but it was good. I did buy a really cool Hotline Miami shirt from Devolver. I'll have to wear it next time.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It's a gift to myself. But it was a lot of fun. It was good. Good time.
It looked like it. It looked like it was really good. It looked like it was a good one to go to this year. I mean, every year it's usually good, but this one seemed like it was a lot.
Yeah, but so no Microsoft, no Bethesda. So that kind of cut down.
Yeah, it was kind of odd Microsoft not being there. That was
Yeah, they
strange.
didn't really have any big announcements out of PAX.
Yeah.
Lots of games to play and things to do.
Breaking
That is
news.
it. Yeah.
Breaking news out of Tokyo Game Show. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition is coming January 23rd, 2020. So here we already go with January games.
Oh,
Welcome to...
and besides Nintendo's long line and Gearbox's, Square Enix had a long line too. And do you know why? Because of Final Fantasy.
Oh, was it Final
But you
Fantasy?
Yes, you had to get a ticket and then come back at a later time to play the game.
Oh, wow. I figured it was Avengers. I figured that was the big game.
I only walked by the booth briefly. I should have stayed a little bit longer. I think they showed Avengers, but
They showed a lot of gameplay online. Now I don't know, how much of it was at the show, but it seemed like that was one of the surprisingly a lot of gameplay. So, all right, cool. Well, I know Eric will add a bunch of that stuff to the notes, so if you guys want to check out any of it, you can go to the show notes and pull that up. Yeah, I think that's going to about do it. We should be able. Well, I say that. I may not. We may have to decide what day to do a show. It may have to be the 21st, because I've got to work the 23rd, and I'll be on the road the 22nd,
yeah,
which will be 2 weeks.
I can probably do that weekend.
We'll figure that out. We've got 2 weeks to figure that out. I just happened to glance at the calendar and went, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be in Virginia again, so on the 23rd." So, but we'll figure that one out. But like I say, like I always say, follow us on Twitter, and you'll know at least 5 hours before we go live. So I try to keep that.
Yay!
Try to keep that up. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for hanging out with us, and we will catch you all next time. Bye-bye.
Take care.